Hello, everybody. The thing about Web Summit is they leave some of the smartest panels for last, so thanks for being here. I'm delighted to be here. I'm Caleb Silver, the editor-in-chief of Investopedia. We have a small question here. Will DeFi save the global economy? No pressure, no big deal, but I have some very smart people to help me. Mitchell Amador from Immunefi, Anie Akpe from Africa Women in Tech, and Alex Gluchowski. Thanks to all of you for being here. Quickly, tell us who you are, tell us about your organization, tell the folks out here.
Sure thing. So my name is Mitchell Amador. I run Immunefi. We are the leading and primary bug bounty platform for all of Web3. And what that means in practice is we're like a reverse 911 system. We're sourcing vulnerabilities from the entire global security community to disclose and make aware these risks, these vulnerabilities, to the projects in the space as quickly and as rapidly as we can. And if we can do that successfully, we like to get the best and brightest and most good faith security community members paid very, very, very well for their work. Typically, or I should say up to date, we've saved about $40 to $50 billion in customer harm, and we hope to do a lot more in the time to come and make blockchain grow.
Anie?
Yeah, so my name is Anie Akpe. Thank you for having me today. I am the founder of African Women in Technology, and what we do is we focus in on training young women and girls in technology throughout Africa. We've been to Uganda, Mozambique, Kenya, Nigeria, and we're definitely going to try to go through all the 52 countries within Africa, hopefully within the next 3 to 4 years. What I'm currently doing right now is I am a co-founder of Summertime Finance, which is a DeFi platform that will be launching in Kenya.
Thank you, Alex.
I'm co-founder and CEO of Matter Labs, which is the company that created the ZK Sync protocol. We are on a mission to accelerate the mass adoption of crypto for personal sovereignty. And ZK Sync is a protocol based on very advanced cryptography called zero-knowledge proofs that helps scale decentralized public blockchains like Ethereum without losing the properties that make them valuable, specifically decentralization, trustlessness, and security.
Right. So let's start with the big question. Does it even make sense in this context? Will DeFi save the global economy? When you hear that, what do you think as a developer, as somebody running a company under the space?
Well, my immediate thought is economy is a dynamic system. It needs movement to survive, and what we really need to save it is to keep it innovating and to make sure that we have progress in all facets of the economy. And in this regard, Web3 is, to me, the continuation of the development of the internet. It's just the next wave of the innovation in the internet. What internet has done to information, Web3 has a capacity to do to the world of value and create all the new use cases, all the new, completely unexpected ways we can interact with value, lowering the barriers of entry and creating a lot of innovation in this regard. And in this sense, yes, I believe it.
So in that respect, creating more access, creating more opportunity, and also creating that sharing and that openness. I mean, when you think about it, especially as your role leading African women in tech, how do you contextualize it?
For me, in terms of looking at DeFi saving the world, right?
The global economy. Let's just start with the economy. We'll get to the world later.
I actually see it as an opportunity. I believe that diversification is important. And right now, if you look back maybe 7, 8 years ago, there wasn't that much of a choice. And most people had to do the traditional banking type of investments, which also created an issue of barrier. I believe that by having DeFi, being able to save, especially as we go through these recession periods, and in countries where the fiat currency is currently being devalued, it creates more of an opportunity. And it also creates that access that people have been looking for.
Okay. I kind of know where you stand, but I would love to hear your perspective on whether you think the question makes sense, and if so, in what context do you think it makes sense?
Sure. So I want to echo those points and then quadruple down on them. DeFi is going to be remembered, my bet is DeFi is going to be remembered 15 years hence as a transformational technology that safeguarded the modern industrialized world as we went through this rocky period of transition, which we're going through over the next decade or so and probably time to follow. We're going through this period right now. We see markets breaking all over the world. We see supply chains breaking all over the world. we see a very confrontational conflicts. Like there's been an explosion of armed conflicts over the world, not to include the trade conflicts, which have been increasing year by year. And there's no way for any of us to adopt, like all of our businesses are based on these kind of open, WTO, safeguarded trading rules. And we've all benefited amazingly from these wonderful economies of scale and the ability to do business worldwide, and all that's going. There's no global markets, they're not safe, you don't have stability, you don't have security, and that's bringing down currencies all over the world. We're talking like Turkey, an incredible industrialized economy. Currency is extremely volatile. Argentina never came back from the volatility that it had in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
Half of the world's global south currencies are under incredible pressure now, and like the states, they don't have the tools to fix it. But DeFi is creating the tools for economic safety and economic stability, no matter the broader political implications, as long as the internet itself does not go down. And as long as these rails aren't targeted, we can guarantee access to safe and highly efficient financial infrastructure, vastly more efficient than most of the traditional financial companies today, to the entire world, even whilst, let's just say, conflict may be ongoing, be it cold or hot. That's transformational for kind of maintaining continuity in a civilization that is otherwise going to be going through some real difficulty.
How does it benefit the tens, hundreds of millions of unbanked, underserved communities around the world who may feel disconnected from the digital economy, although they might be in ways they're not aware, but how do you think it affects them?
Well, I think that this is, look, they're disconnected from the entire global financial economy, period. They're not disconnected from the digital economy. Most of these people have internet access at this point, and they have access to very sophisticated tools. What they don't have is financial tooling, and they were never going to get it under the current schema. Not a chance. But what we are providing can give them, they're going to get access to exactly the same tools that the world's best portfolio managers interacting with this new global market will get. So today, I don't think it means all that much because that's not their set of problems, but in 5-10 years, as many of these ventures grow and they get more sophisticated and they create internet native wealth, they're going to have the best tooling available, and it's going to be transformative.
I mean, we were talking a little bit beforehand about Yellow Card. Give us the example of how that is working, especially in parts of Africa, how that sort of answers that question.
Right, so when you look at Yellow Card gives opportunity in 18 different countries in Africa, the ability to purchase, whether you're using cash or you're using mobile, to be able to purchase crypto as a voucher. So anyone can transact anywhere at any time. But when we break those numbers down a little bit further within populated areas, they have a younger population. That unbanked number is roughly at 34%, which equals to trillions of dollars. So now you have DeFi that now gives them ability to be banked. It also gives them an access to loans. It also allows them to have other investment choices that they wouldn't have had before. So when you have a Yellow Card that's throughout Africa that allows them to say, hey, you can purchase this, and your money is the same no matter where it is because of the value of your crypto and not necessarily the fiat currency value. But it allows them the opportunity to participate wherever they are in the world.
Right, so Alex, if saving the economy, or at least helping to save the economy, means bringing down costs, that's kind of a lot of what your technology does in terms of doing a lot of that work underneath, with the decentralized financial system. How is that working in terms of what you're building, and how is that going to help save the global economy?
So the important thing about lowering the costs is that it's a necessary but not sufficient condition. It is kind of easy to lower the cost if you're willing to give up the other factors that made decentralized systems valuable, such as security or decentralization or permissionlessness. You can just install one single server and say, like, everyone come to me and I will give you low costs, right? But that's not what we need. The important innovation that we're working on is ensuring the low costs while fully preserving the security of the most secure, most decentralized systems such as Ethereum or Bitcoin. And we use it we implement it by using this very advanced cryptography on which people have worked for the last 30 years. That is called zero-knowledge proofs, and that can provide the proofs of computational integrity over large arrays of computation. And integrity means just being honest while no one is looking. And everyone in the system can check that and verify that.
Great point. You're focused on making sure it's a little safer out there, because I think privacy, security, breaches, hacks are sort of a hallmark of the cryptocurrency era. But what is it that you're focused on in the DeFi world that's going to help make it a little bit safer, and who else is working in that space?
Sure. So I guess I can show some pretty cool stuff there. But before I do, I want to touch a little bit on what Alex's work, because I think you've dramatically underplayed the potential impact of what he's building. Right? We're going into this world where a variety of the major countries, so China, Russia, some of the Arab kingdoms together, America, and the Five Eyes, have these panopticonic type of systems. They can monitor basically all internet traffic going through their areas. They can monitor all financial activities. And they're creating tools that, not by anybody's deliberate means, but just by the force of incentives, right? And the wanting to keep social stability will trend naturally towards totalitarianism, right? And what he's building, all this DK Snarks tech, is just so exciting because it creates a extremely efficient, by default, protection for individual rights, especially the right to transact and eventually the right to communicate based on top of it. And that is that's a unique gift to society. I really hope it works out in the biggest way, because we're all going to need it. The alternative is a darker view. But as for my side, I solve a more basic problem, right? We're trying to make the space as safe as it possibly can be. And the whole issue is that we are creating amazing technology. It is getting leaps and leaps better every year, but the complexity is picking up and the value is picking up. And due to the nature of this open, this free system that really empowers individual users, it also makes it very easy to get away with malicious events. So the way we approach it is we're creating this common clearinghouse, if you will, this common, this central hub for the discovery, the surfacing of incentives for securing protocols. So we're aggregating tens of thousands of the best minds in security all around the world, specifically to go and hunt for vulnerabilities on these major projects. And then in the course of that, we also get to see the whole security stack that's being built. And you are starting to see, let's give a glimpse into what that future looks like. We are starting to see better tooling up the chain. We're starting to see better simulation tech for eliminating risks. We're starting to see better economic simulation tech for identifying various forms of economic attacks, which will also be considered hacks, right? It's not all necessarily code vulnerability. Sometimes it's a governance attack. Sometimes it's an economic attack. We are seeing better auditing tooling and an explosion of great auditing firms that are contributing. We are seeing automated threat analysis. We are seeing, how do I describe it, real-time monitoring solutions and real-time front-running solutions to protect against hacks as they happen. So there's this huge explosion of security that's happening in DeFi that, while I know full well the attackers always have the advantage, I'm very optimistic 5 years hence we are going to make these products arguably safer than the average bank.
Yeah, I think I know your answer to this question, but I want to hear it anyway. Do we need more regulation here, more rules for the road, more government oversight, or should we allow the people that are building this out and the people who will experience it to set those rules up and be our own sort of police?
Sure, so context. Number one, I was around for the rise of audits and the first kind of regulatory discussions that happened with the SEC and various other regulators. I got the first no action letter for one of the projects that I worked with from them. Number two, I run the local think tank here in Portugal, lobbying for a very crypto-friendly ecosystem here, working with our stakeholders in the government as much as we can. Here's the reality. We absolutely do need local support. The regulators themselves are not going to make a difference in actually pushing the case forward. What they can do is they can harm the development of this technology and the development of this economy and ultimately the development of the prosperity of their own future people, but they can't really support it actively except insofar as they willingly get out of the way. Now, the Portuguese government, in creating this amazing hub in Lisbon, has actually done a marvelous job of that, showing that, hey, look, this is a safe place to build technology, and therefore this has become a safe place to do crypto. But from the regulatory side, nothing that we could possibly do would be effective. And we've seen this with ICOs, okay? None of the measures to curtail ICOs and basically raising money online were effective. None of them worked. All you saw is various types of scammers and the like moving overseas to conduct their activities and become untouchable, which is exactly what they did. And of the places where you could make claims, right, about really big projects, I think we could probably name some names historically. We won't, but we could. All they got was a slap on the wrist. It's toothless, it's not real. And so on the security front, you're going to get a similar dynamic. The solutions have to come from the people building the tech. Okay, they have to be hard science solutions, not soft policy solutions. And if people want to support that, bankroll it. That's the simplest way. We're building as fast as we can. There is the demand. We just need more people.
I want to flip it into what types of regulations or what types of sort of rules for the road would be helpful to the women that you help support through your organization in tech in Africa.
Yeah, when you talk about rules and regulations, let's go back a little bit. The way that I see the regulations is not that I feel that it isn't helpful. What it does is it puts a sense of trust in a lot of people that's looking at it from the outside. They see a lot of things that are happening right now in terms of all the hacks. It doesn't mean that we want rules to happen, but it also means for us in the industry that we want people that understand what crypto is to begin with. As we look at it right now, there's a lot of regulators that don't even know the basics of what DeFi is, or even understand how it works. So now you have regulators that are having to create rules on things that they may not understand. I think back to the sense of trust issue. What that does is establish trust within the community to say, hey, there may be somebody we may be able to hold accountable, for something that may go bad. You can't manage, and this is the nicest way possible, you can't manage stupid when it comes to investment. But what it does is it puts some trust in the consumer that allows them to know that, hey, if these things are happening, we now have someone we could turn to. But I do wish that we had more regulators that were in the industry that understood it versus the ones that are looking outside. Aha, see, this is why it didn't work. It got hacked. Aha, see that? And all these other factors that you're trying to find to say, no, it's not going to work because there's so many other negatives in it without even looking at the positives.
Yeah, great point. Alex, what's missing from the conversation that's not getting enough attention in terms of what needs to be built, what needs to be developed in the DeFi world to help make these improvements we've all been talking about?
I think one of the biggest focuses, which I personally was missing in the public discourse, was the focus on the combination of user experience and security. Like, people talk a lot about user experience and separation and about security and separation, but they can be almost contradictory when you make things too easy for people there. We don't have to think, and they do one click and everything works magically, but under the hood something bad can happen. So you want to find a way how you transparently make it visible for the users, to almost taking them through this educational journey where they learn how things are being done and what is, what are going to be the consequences of their actions, and how do they learn to be self-sovereign in this world where they are not protected, not handheld by regulators, because Mitchell is right, they just can't do it. Like, there is no technical way to do this protection. So they need to take more responsibility, but in a way that makes them feel comfortable through this technological and design solutions.
So Mitchell, through you a little love, admiring what you have been able to build and what your team is working on, who's out there for you as a North Star doing great work that you admire that you think is going to help change the game?
So one example out of the top of my head would be projects that work on creating this mass-friendly wallets that provide this almost like neobank-like experience where it feels familiar to the Web2 users. It's simple to onboard, simple to manage, but still give you the full control over your assets and over your identity. One example would be Argent Wallet that were pioneers in the space and did a really great job. They are active on zk Sync, where you can just log in with your email and phone number, but you actually fully control everything you own.
Great one. Who do you admire? Who's your North Star out there? You mentioned Yellow Card, but who in your ecosystem do you think is doing great work that could be a game changer here?
It's so funny. We have one of the game changers out here in the audience, and his platform is called Patricia. It's one of the fastest growing ones in Nigeria. I think that to take into consideration when you're looking at emerging markets, the key for us will always be the education piece. So when you have the chains that are actually doing education, I think that that's more helpful than us pushing out more platforms, because we have a lot within the population that doesn't even understand exactly what it is and how to use it. So education from the chains such as Binance or CeeLo or Cardano, which is huge, in Africa. But the other platform that I really like, it's called UTP, which is you share your data with them, and then you also go in and you do a peer review. So it goes back to that trust system, because the trust is coming from the peers that are using it. So long as you're willing to share your data, which is key, then you're able to use it. It's key for us in Africa as we're trying to do this education piece and getting people to understand exactly how to use crypto, why to use it, and why it's so beneficial for you, because your fiat currency is currently being devalued. This is important for you.
Yeah, I'm going to give you another chance to show some love. You showed a little bit this way. Who's out there for you as a North Star? What companies do you admire doing great work today?
Well, I already confessed my affection for people building general applications, EK Snarks platforms. And that really is one of the very hopeful pieces of technology, I feel, for this new world that we're creating that could provide protections to people around the world in an uncertain time. Beyond there, there's a bunch of security organizations I'm excited about, most notably DDoB, and there's a lot of these teams, you won't hear about them because the security teams, they work very privately, they're kind of B2B, but they're doing really cool stuff, state-of-the-art, to push security forward. And I'm really excited, one more on the financial side, I'm excited about the rise of these new insurance and reinsurance protocols on chain. One of the real solutions that we need is just to mitigate financial risk, and that is going to open up a lot of problems, because we'll be able to throw capital at these types of hacks that happens. Believe it or not, these types of financial loss events are not atypical in the traditional financial world either, nor are these types of bounties that I pay, right? $5 million, $6 million, $10 million. That happens in the rest of the world too. You just don't see anything. You just don't hear about it. And those problems are really solved at the end of the day by different forms of insurance, okay? Just the hard work of pooling risk together and covering society's losses in a clean and discreet way to maintain user trust and push things forward. So I'm super excited about guys like Nexus Mutual and Sherlock and others who are building this future infrastructure that will simplify and eliminate a lot of these problems, just in a very boring, very effective way.
I love it. You're all futurists, and I love your perspectives, but I'm going to give you the last word on what's on the horizon out there that a lot of us might not be aware of that's coming in the next, say, 2 or 3 to 5 years that could really change the whole ecosystem.
Well, my perspective on this is always that we can't really guess. Like if you look back at what became the really big thing in the development of crypto, like people like Vitalik Buterin would confess they did not see that coming. So for me, the important thing is to enable innovation and enable a lot of experiments done by community, done by a lot of smart and passionate entrepreneurs to eventually let the market crystallize what will be this big winning thing. So on our side, we're focusing on infrastructure, just building this internet of value from the the fundamental side.
You're all doing fascinating work. I want to let the folks know how to follow you. You start with you. Where can folks follow you? Where's the easiest place to find out what you're up to?
The best way to follow our news is our Twitter account, which is called ZK-Sync in one word.
ZK-Sync, Anie?
Yeah, mine is my name, Anie Akpe, Twitter, Instagram, it's all the same. Mitchell,
take us home.
If you want to hack with us, you can do it at Immunefi.com, and you can follow us on Twitter at Immunefi, IMMUNEFI. Join us.
Mitchell, Anie, Alex, thank you so much for a fascinating conversation. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Web Summit. What a great conference.